Hello Chips, this is Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today it's another pop-up one, so no face to camera, which you'll all be heartily grateful for. I just wanted to show you these Empress miniatures English Civil War in metal 28mm that I purchased off eBay a few weeks ago, I think. They're again beautiful sculpts. I'd wanted to try some of their English Civil War range to paint for ages, and I just thought, I was looking for something else on eBay, and I just thought, I wonder if anybody's got any Empress at a decent price, which is, let's face it, on eBay these days for figures anyway. Trying to get figures at decent prices, people are normally selling them maybe £1 cheaper than you can get them from the, from Empress, say, or any other company that you're looking for. But I did manage to get these 2 packets for the price of one, which would have cost me at Empress. So I was happy with that. It's not very often I get a decent bargain. So we'll take a look. Right, these guys were sculpted by Tony Bousted. I believe that's right. Let me just check. Yeah, it is Tony Bousted. I thought it was the other day when I mentioned them, but I thought, no, I know what I'm like, and I'm going to get it wrong. The sword there, obviously, is only there. It will go where that hole is. Obviously, it's just in the casting process. I really like them, I've got to say. I'm very impressed. As I say, I'm turning into an Empress fanboy here, and I tend not to try to go down roads like that. I try and be, if I've got to be critical of a company, if I don't think it's up to scratch, I prefer to say it. But as I say, I've just not seen anything of their stuff that is not up to scratch. I really enjoy their sculpts. As I say, they, on their advertising blurb, no, I can't even say that because I'll probably get it wrong. But they say, I've heard them say on, say, Two Fat Lardies and that, they might not be the cheapest guys in town, but they're not trying to be. They're trying to just get out well sculpted, well cast, and a decent service product to the discerning public. So they're not trying to sell us sculpts that are 60 years old or 30 years old or whatever. They're all up to date stuff and well researched. Now I only recently, as in a couple of 3 years ago, got some books on the English Civil War. Against classic, isn't it? Yeah, I was more interested in the American Civil War than I was the English, mainly because it was like all the religion and that. Which, although I enjoy the 1680s period of the Williamite and King Louis wars, and obviously King James, and I do like to follow King William's army around Europe, whether it's in the UK, Ireland, the Low Countries, Italy. So I am into that for that reason. But the English Civil War, it just never. I always think you've got to be on one side or another. It's and I never could really get behind one side or the other. I just started to enjoy the period and more of the history. And these, so what I'm trying to say is, in my usual roundabout ways, I can't give you I know that these are exactly what they're supposed to be. I'm just saying that, I don't know enough to start saying, oh, well, this shouldn't be here or that shouldn't be there, I can only see it from a painter's eye who likes history, or military history in particular. And they just look fantastic. Like the woolen socks there. According to the blurb on the website, these can be used from the earliest period up to the latest period. I think before they went, was it before they went into Scotland? Hang on, I've actually got it open here on my iPad. 1630 to 1644, so they can be used for Europe and that as well. So that's one. As I say, if I was buying them, I probably wouldn't have gone for the firing line straight away. I like the more casual poses of ours, I always say, but as I say, I got these from eBay. I thought, great, these will be my next painting, because I'll only sell them. I can't, I just don't have the room to keep buying and keeping everything. I just have to enjoy it, you know, and that's it. There was a time a couple of years ago I was flirting with the idea of getting a force, you know, whether it's royalist or parliamentarian, but you know, I just don't have the money or the physical space to keep stuff I'm not going to game or whatever. So it's all right getting them out on the tabletop and having a look at them occasionally, which is what I do with like my Vietnam and stuff. But I just paint for the enjoyment of painting military history, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to go into like huge details. There's a lot of people out there that know a damn sight more about the subject than I do. Before I paint anything, I go immerse myself in books again, then go and look at reenactors' sites to get ideas of, you know, colours and things. So that's those two. Move them to one side, make sure that the sword's there. So yeah, I'm undecided with these guys whether to paint them as singles and singly base them, or just paint them, hold them back until I've got a, you know, a force of, and you know, go and buy some more of Empress. Empress will make the money out of me one way or the other, to make a unit up, you know, including all the pikemen and stuff, because it gets hellishly expensive when you start going down that road. But I do really like them. A lot of respect to the sculptor. I think he's done a fantastic job again. So not a huge amount. What I found, and I did the same, I've actually pulled some these guys ended up residual Brits from the ones I'm painting, they ended up getting pulled out by mistake at the same time. What I found with their Brits are there's some very, very fine mould lines, and it's caught me out in a couple of places. A couple of places, I'll be frank with you, I've painted them in, they've been that fine, and I've already gone over them with a scalpel and whatever. But anything major, you just got to, I don't know what it would be like with these guys, I've not really looked, but you just got to be careful. It's not a point against them, as in the Empress stuff. See the small mould line there. They've got to have mould lines in them, and I prefer them very thin than very fat and chunky, which is always the bane of my life when I'm having to clean those off, one scalpel blade after another. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for those, because they will be around there someplace. They've got the light, the match for, obviously, because these are matchlocks. If any of the guys don't know, they're not the flintlock muskets. They did have them in the period. They were mainly, I believe, given to dragoons and to the guys that were guarding the ammunition train, because what you don't want with a load of gunpowder is these lighted matches, as they call them. So obviously it's a piece of rope that's constantly lit, and obviously you touch the fuse pan and she goes off. But obviously if you're guarding the artillery or the ammunition in general, you don't particularly want to be going around kegs of gunpowder, especially in those days. They weren't always the most careful of ordnance logistics, so yeah, they tended to give those the actual flintlocks. See, the rests are a bit on the bendy side. There's not a great deal you can do about that. It's white metal, and that's what white metal does, unfortunately. Lovely for sculpting, for casting in, but getting straight lines on anything thin is a bit like resin. I did think, and I still might go down the road of literally taking them off at the hand. There is usually a bit of a metal spike, obviously, to push them slightly into the ground. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't when they weren't using, because what they do is, again, for anybody that don't know, these would turn into giant. You notice that the butt is really big, So in the shoulder there, they're big and flat, and they tended to use them as clubs when they got to hand combat. But I wouldn't be surprised with the metal ferrules on the bottom here if this wasn't shoved into people some description. But I might think about taking. I'll see how they straighten up. If it's ultra bendy, it'll take away from the figure. So I may decide to cut those off at the hand, drill them in slightly, and then put a safety clip as I use. I use those large paper clips, and I cut them and use them to either pin. The smaller bits I leave for pinning figures when I need to, and the longer bits for anything from, you know, in the smaller figures they can be used for the colours, you know, the flagpoles, but or obviously be used for this. And these are the last two. Again, we have our super bendy rests. These are what they call the apostles, and obviously you carry a charge of powder in those. Very occasionally they did actually, from what I've seen, actually paint them up as well, but usually they'd just be normal wood. I mean, I can't see why you couldn't use things like the Siege of La Rochelle and stuff in France, you know, the Musketeers type era. So yeah, I'm undecided yet. There isn't exactly a load to, you know, to actually make a unit up. And yes, I could make them as singles. But it's not as if like they were skirmishing with these with the rests and everything. So I'm more probably drawn to the idea is I'll paint them up, and I'll just have to hang the expense at some stage. And if I can sell some of the figures I'm painting at the moment, and reinvest in a, you know, with the pike and the NCOs, officers, and any other musketeers I might need. But as I say, it's lovely little figures, well, little, but you know, lovely figures, compared to, I mean, different sculptors and that. That's one of our British. I'm literally almost finishing. I've got two more to do. I've just got a last bit of flesh and clean up on those, and then these will all be ready for a first varnish and a base. I normally varnish these, well, any figure I'll give them a coat of varnish first to handle them as I break them off the bottle tops, because they're only held on by PVA, and then I'll stick them to a base. In this case they're going to actually be puttied into a base as well, and then I'll give everything, once I've put the tufts on and everything, I'll give them one last coat of varnish all through an airbrush. But anyway, I'm not showing those off today, but just to give you an idea roughly what they look like side by side. In fact, actually, just, well, the problem is mine's on a bottle top, but roughly, and he's leaning forward as well. Right, guys, thank you very much for stopping by. I'm sorry this was a bit of a stop-start. I've just been saying about it for ages to you know, give you a quick look at these, because I'd not seen any before apart from on the internet, yeah, I'll be looking forward to doing those. Very pleased with what I've seen. I say I can forgive the bendy rests, that's just white metal, that happens. It just depends whether I want to go for the time of replacing it. I mean, doing the actual serpent, not serpent, but the lighted match, that's not particularly hard to portray on there. So we'll see. So thank you very much. Coming up, I'm hoping tomorrow I'll have yet another video up, because I did say I wanted to show what John Crome had sent me. As I said, I'd sent him up that flat Napoleonic figure, and he very kindly wanted to send me something in return. and he sent some figures down to me. So I'm hoping tomorrow I'll get those under a under the camera, and we'll take a look at those. As I say, it's turning into the Empress Empress miniatures site, and again, I've got to say, I've got no connection to Empress whatsoever. I buy these. I say, and these even came off eBay. I just buy them like anybody else. I'm not paid to push products on you or anything like that. It's just I like to show things off, especially like show them off in the raw before they're painted. See what people can get. I mean, that one's a bit thin in the base, as you can see. And there was a bit of flash which I just saw in that last one, but again, nothing major. And you can get obviously all the different guys in. Some have got more armour than, I mean, obviously the musketeers tending not to have the armour, but the apart from helmets here and there, but the pike, you can have them in the tasselets or tassels, whatever they call them, which the thigh plates, or without thigh plates, just breastplates, and is it Milton helmets, whatever. Very good, but yeah, lovely figures. As I say, with these I probably will go down the road of making a complete regiment up of them. I don't think just sticking these on single bases anybody's going to be that interested in them, as in to sell, so I'll probably end up doing a whole regiment and just hoping it sells. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. Although I've spammed you with the World War II British infantry, I probably won't put the others up that I've painted until I've got them based, because they're literally paint for the rest of today, which will finish these two off, and then after a varnish tomorrow, then get on with the basing, and that'll take me a couple of 3 days letting it dry out and stuff like that. So yeah, probably see these Brits based in a couple of days, probably Monday, Tuesday, something like that. Got a bit of modelling to show you, hopefully when I can get round to it this weekend. Obviously John's stuff, which are display figures, they've got to be shown off. I've got a couple of bits that I bought off eBay, but again, display figure wise, and yeah, just bits and pieces. But there will be from a modelling Maras out there. I do want to get back onto doing my hot rod car. I do want to get back onto getting the Dragonfly finished. There's a lot of I do want to, and the Lexington, definitely. I've been 2 days running. I've been trying to get back on the Lexington, and I've not been able to, because I've just wanted to push these Brits forward, because the client that I painted the Napoleonic 15 mils for his epic forces, he's dropped round because he lives local. He picked those up, but he also said, when I paint him a regiment from the same company, so not Warlord, says it tabletop. Oh, I can't remember what they are. Anyway, but I've got some more of those to paint, but British foot figures to paint as well for him, before I can get on and do any more real work on the 28s. So thank you very much for taking a look. I will be doing some. I know I've got a lot of guys that like to see the 28mm Napoleonics. I will get onto them again at some stage, and also the Airfix figure. He's not been forgotten about. It's just, as I say, I bounce around like a squash ball, so I suddenly get the wanting to paint something else. I'll paint that and then go back to so the Airfix. You'll see him, because I've really enjoyed doing that, and for a change, it's actually come together quite well. So we will be seeing the Airfix figure. It's just as and when. It probably might be another week away before I get any more paint on him yet, but it's not far. So look after yourselves. Thanks for showing interest in the channel. It's always appreciated, and all for the people that drop a comment and press that like doobry. It's all really appreciated. As I say, it just knows that people are out there, type of thing. So look after yourselves, and we'll see each other probably tomorrow on another video.